It Is, today with Bobby Hansen from Sunflower Travel. And we were talking about changes in the industry, and I paid a compliment about what agencies can do for you.
Yes.
And how well they do it. What other things have changed? You had these electronic changes, the way you communicate both with the providers and the clients.
Right. And Tim, what we haven't decided, and we do have various ages of staff, and the youngest one that has just come on, she's more into the Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of thing. And I think it is fine. I guess it depends on what clientele you're looking for and how many people have embraced all of that communication that way. But the social network really has made a difference on everything. And
I went on this morning.
Did you?
All I can say is all my messages could have never occurred and the world would have gone on.
No. I agree. I mean, every morning that I go in, and I'm sure you do too. I mean, I have probably 50 to 70 emails. And I just go through a lot and delete because there's too much advertising and things like that. And it takes time. If you really want to read through all of that, it takes too much time. And,
well, you know what might be fun for our viewers today?
What?
Talk about some of the trips, places you've been where you really thought it was great fun or something unique about them.
Okay.
Bobby and I were on a...
we got to talk about China.
Well, we went to China. We were actually on a trade mission.
Right.
And it was a weird thing. Senator Roberts was supposed to be the head of the mission.
Yes.
And we get to Chicago, and it turns out Senator Roberts he has to stay for the Nationals. He was on the Security Committee.
Yeah, right.
And he was chairman of it, and he had to stay. And so they said, well, Tim, you're now head of the delegation. Well, I wasn't prepared. I mean, I was not prepared.
Oh my gosh!
I didn't have enough suits. I didn't have anything.
Oh.
So Bobby and I did some sharing. I had M&Ms because I didn't know if you could get them in China. And she had coffee. Right. So we would slip under each other's door. I'd slip M&Ms under her door. She'd slip coffee under mine.
I loved it. It was good.
And that's how we made it through the trip.
Oh, it was. It was. I mean, we had all kinds of
I had salami and cheese.
And I think I had some peanut butter.
And you had a knife in those days. And the entire delegation, Tim, you got any more salami? You got any? And I'd make sandwiches for everybody.
It was because we had all kinds of interesting, meats, especially that were served at a lunchtime. Yeah, it was like, okay. And what was that orange drink that we had to have? I mean, I guess it wasn't too bad. I don't know.
What I remember is the wine, which I referred to as aviation gas. It was about 110, 120
Oh my gosh!
proof.
Yeah. Oh, it was. It was. But anyway,
enough of that.
Yeah, exactly. Those were the interesting parts.
But I think people would be interested. Where have you been that you found really fascinating?
Yeah. Well, of course, you probably already know this, and I'm always talking about it, but I love New Zealand. New Zealand is God's country, is what I feel. And every place, in fact, I was just there.
You would pick a tough one and an expensive one.
And everyone always says, oh, it's so far and it's so long and I'm on the flight so long. But what you have to realize is you leave late at night and anyway, you're there the next morning and you have time to have about 3 movies and maybe 1 book. It depends on. Well, of course, they all have their Kindles now instead. So, but anyway, and Africa is interesting. I'll never forget.
Which portions of it?
I was in the crater area and Ngorongoro crater and Serengeti and all of that.
This Kenya?
Kenya, and then the falls. The falls were fantastic. And I really want to do that again someday soon. But anyway, on the Ngorongoro crater, you look down from your lodge, and as I was looking at that, there were these pink flamingos, and it was just a blanket of pink and just.
And real ones, not just out on the lawn in Florida.
Yes. Okay. And then what you do is you go in Land Rovers, and they take you down into where the animals are, the hippopotamus, the giraffe, you got elephants, you have everything. And it is. Now, Tahiti is another area that's really, if you just want to get away from everything,
I'm salivating listening to all this. I'm sorry.
And so these are just, some of those places are just terrific. Last year I went on a cruise and went to Santiago, Chile. So I haven't done a lot of South America, but still, that's interesting too. And there's so many places in the world.
Oh, I know. I've got a long list, and not enough money
Thank
to
goodness.
Do it. Thank you. We've only got about a minute.
Okay.
What if we finished off with, could you give maybe a tip or two to people as they think about travel? Before they even get started, what should they think about?
Okay. I think that the best thing to do is decide, first off, a budget. What is it? And then the amount of time that you have. And then when you come to discuss it, be truthful about this is what we're looking at. Yes, right. Rather than and then do some research. It's fine. Go on the internet because it's like a library. You go in there and you have all these references, which is like an encyclopedia that we used to use, and get yourself so that you are kind of up on things, so that not a lot of time is wasted on your part, or just to be truthful on what you want to do.
I will add to that this once again, having somebody that you can trust, where you've got confidence in them.
That's
because
true.
as I do some of these things, some things I've researched, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
But I need somebody who's been someplace or knows more than I do often, and I got to go to somebody I can trust.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And Krista.
All right.
And so it was a great pleasure having you on, Bobby. See, that just flew by, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Thank you for having me too.
And we'll see you next time on Wichita's Biz That Is.